How much sleep do you get? If you get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours, you're in good company with about a third of Americans. And why does it matter? Your sleep has so many different functions that it provides. The one I want to talk about today is a link to diabetes along with heart disease. So what happens when you don't get enough sleep is that you tend to have what's called insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance is associated with definitely diabetes, type 2 diabetes, but it's also associated with heart disease and cancer, fatty liver, obesity, PCOS, and more. So it's very important. Insulin resistance is part of metabolic syndrome, and metabolic syndrome is something that 93% of Americans suffer from. So what this involves is having imbalanced cholesterol, so not enough of the good cholesterol, having elevated triglycerides, having abdominal fat, having elevated blood sugar, elevated blood pressure, along with your blood sugars, and what I said about the cholesterol and elevated triglycerides. So that's what's associated with metabolic syndrome, and part of that is having insulin resistance, and that's associated with that long list of diseases. So it's not something we want to take lightly, because obviously heart disease is our #1 killer. Type 2 diabetes is extremely common. All diseases are miserable, and those are equally so. So what can we do about it? When it comes to not only how much sleep you get, but what your bedtime is, studies have shown that we need that 7 to 9 hours. So that's #1. You definitely want to work with that. But additionally to that, a study showed that if you go to bed after midnight, you're more likely to have the insulin resistance, etc. Matthew Walker is an amazing sleep researcher. I believe the name of his book is Why We Sleep, and that's many years ago, but he continues to research sleep, and he's lovely man, phenomenal to listen to, and you can get a lot of information. And sleep is something that a lot of us don't prioritize. I know personally, I used to joke about if I could just have a battery pack and switch it out, that would be good. That sleep is a waste of time, but it's not. It's absolutely not. It's essential for your ideal health. So what happens is that the cells of your pancreas that make insulin become less sensitive to blood sugar going up. So then they don't make as much insulin, so your blood sugar rises. So with blood sugar rising, again, you're moving toward diabetes, but also your blood vessels stiffen. So you're moving toward heart disease and atherosclerosis, along with elevated blood pressure. Also, your hunger hormones get off. You've probably noticed this if you stay up late, you almost get like another hunger bout, and you start eating later into the night, and that's because the ghrelin hormone, or the hunger hormone, elevates, and the satiety hormone, the leptin hormone, diminishes. So you're no longer, you want to start munching your way through the late hours because you've stayed up so late. So then you're starting to add body fat. So it's not a pretty picture. So let's talk about some tips and tricks. Now, I do know that for various reasons, like hormonal imbalance is one. If you have a lot of gut distress, that's #2. We talk a lot about hiatal hernia syndrome on this channel. So a lot of people with hiatal hernia syndrome really have trouble sleeping because they can't lie flat, they get acid reflux, they wake up with panic attacks and heart palpitations. So there can be underlying issues that are really destructive to your sleep, and of course those have to be addressed in order to get your sleep quality back. I personally have worked very hard on my sleep the last 4 or 5 years. I didn't realize until I got some metrics. I have a Whoop band. You can probably see that. That's what I use. People have Oura rings and Apple Watches. There's a lot of different tools out there where you can start to get an idea about your sleep. But I didn't know that my sleep quality was poor. I was certainly getting enough hours, but the quality was poor. So then I had to delve into why was that. So there's other circumstances, I realize, but some basics, we always like to start out with the basics and make sure those are happening, and then we can, you know, dig deeper to find out specifically for you why sleep is a challenge. So you want to sleep in a dark room. That's cool. You want to stay away from blue light, so if you can get those blue light blocking glasses that you put on the last couple of hours before you go to sleep, that's great. You want to have 3 hours after you eat before you go to bed. It's great if you can after dinner is to take a stroll. You're not jogging, you're just taking a nice comfortable walk for anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to help digestion. That really helps. The cool dark room really helps. And then not right before sleep, but to have enough exercise on hand that you are doing as a general rule is really helpful for sleep quality, along with limiting your caffeine. So you can have a morning cup of coffee if you seem to do fine with that, but if you start to bring caffeine later into the day, your body's not flushing it out. It's not degrading that caffeine fast enough that it's not going to affect your sleep. So those are some basics on sleep. But the reason why I think is important, so if you have someone in your family who kind of ignores sleep, it's important to realize, for them to realize where they're going with that and what that's going to create. And the people that were getting enough sleep but in the study but still went to bed after midnight were still at the same risk profile. So the worst profile was not enough and going to bed after midnight. That was the absolute worst. But not enough and going to bed after midnight was no good. So you need enough, and you need that bedtime to be before midnight, both. And if you need help, this is something we're really good at here at Root Cause, so we're more than delighted to help you get to the root cause of why your sleep is not the way it should be. But it's very worth your while to prioritize sleep and figure out what you need to do to really have it function optimally, because then your health will be functioning optimally and you will just be able to enjoy life and achieve your goals. Now, one quick comment, I'm not talking about the occasional, you know, it was a wedding, it was my birthday, and I stayed out super late, etc. I'm not talking about these one-off type of things that happen occasionally, but more what your chronic schedule is like. Okay? I hope that was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. We're definitely trying to have more people get exposed to this information. If you like the information, give it a thumbs up, and we'll talk soon.